really streaming. Hopefully, I think it was a bitrate issue, so I'm sorry for that. But hey, this is Movie Crap. We are now live. It should be live. I'm waiting for it to see live online. I am looking. Oh well. Well, I guess it was. I don't know. Whatever. I have tried, but I think it's I don't know. It looked pretty good, but it's clearly delayed. So let's just go on with the show, because I feel like the show's never going to happen if we don't do it, basically. Whatever. All right. So, you know what? It's just what we're doing, and hopefully it works. All right. I'm sorry for my lame streaming issues today. We're finally on, and here we go. All right. So the Playmobil movie is a total and complete and utter. Well, okay. Before you do that, I want to say that this show is 100% fan supported, and by your super chat or through Patreon. I very much appreciate it, and thank you so much for your support, and thank you so much for your patience during this incredibly, unfortunately delayed and problematic live stream this time. I promise it won't happen again, and we'll see. But anyway, I just wanted to say that off the bat. I want to thank you all very much for being as patient with me as you are. And I'm glad you guys are excited, and here we go. All right, so the Playmobil movie, it is the third worst opening for over 2,000 screens of all time, behind two huge, pretty big bombs that we're all aware of, which was Oogie Loves, pretty notoriously, and Dougal. This is third behind that. It actually made less. It's poised to not even make $1 million, which is less than Arctic Dogs, which opened at 2,800 screens but made about $3 million. This is way worse, as it's not going. It might make 800,000, not 800 million. It cost about 70. It did make 12 overseas, but it looks like it is a pretty epic bomb. It was at a stunning 13th place on Friday, its opening day of release, with $167,000. That was it. I think it would be a miracle if it gets to 800,000 at this point. It looks like a pretty epic bomb. I don't think I think this movie came out at a time like this is one of the worst weekends of the entire year. Despite being like in December, you'd think December's like a big movie month. This weekend, specifically the weekend after Thanksgiving, is considered one of the worst weekends of the entire year. It's like suddenly it's January in the middle of summer kind of weekend. It's strange, and it is a dumping ground. But I kind of feel like maybe I kind of wish this and Angry Birds 2 had switched places, because I think Angry Birds 2 could have used the attention for like more Oscar consideration. Not that I thought it was that good, but as well as the short hair love could have really used could have really used the kind of more consideration, although Hair Love is now. By the way, that was another thing. When I talk about Hair Love is available online, you should definitely see Hair Love. It's amazing. I need to rewatch it and cry all over again. But Playmobil was probably one of the biggest. It is the biggest animation bomb of the year. It's bigger than Arctic Dogs. I think the reason not as many people are talking about it is when Arctic Dogs came out, there weren't like so many year-end things and big things, and December's considered the fourth quarter, and all this stuff's going on. And then, And then you kind of put something out like this, and you kind of can't get to it, which is why I didn't see it. I wanted to finally see Knives Out. For some reason, I thought Uncut Gems came out this weekend. It comes out next weekend, but I didn't see it just because I didn't have time, and I know a lot of people who didn't. So I think this one's kind of going to get forgotten and not going to be as notorious as it could be. But I've heard it's pretty epically bad. Maybe if I get a chance at some point. I will. Thank you, everyone who's encouraged. You guys are making me feel better. I felt kind of really stupid earlier, so thank you. Anyway, but it did come out in the UK in September. It came out in other countries earlier, but the Playmobil movie is finally, I guess, out and is becoming an epic bomb. But it's a bomb that's going to get forgotten because it's one thing to be out in January and kind of stick around, but this is basically just going to have a few weekends and then just get gobbled up by Star Wars. And, you know, Frozen 2 is still going to need a lot of screens while Star Wars is there. And it's just going to be a huge clusterfuck of nobody cares about the Playmobil movie. I also think the thing with Ugly Dolls and Playmobil is the Playmobil movie has the Playmobil okay, so the Lego movie is actually here's the thing with the Playmobil movie is the Lego movie, there are actual films made with Legos, like there are Lego film festivals before there was ever a Lego movie, and Lord and Miller researched that and really got into it. And I don't think, and Lego's more of a universal brand for a lot of people, and sorry. I think Lego is a brand for lots of people generationally, and all these other brands are specific to demographic groups or age groups, and it doesn't really break out the way the Lego movie does. And my cat Toulouse really wants out. I'm going to do that, and then we will get to the ET commercial. Hold on. Okay. Whoa. That was not Sophie. That was Toulouse. He is now out. Okay. Anyway, so we're back. This is an epic movie crap, I have to say. Anyway, so and you can see my picture there. Anyway, so here we go. So the next one, the ET returned in an Xfinity ad. And I was shocked because did anyone know this was happening? I don't remember reading anything that it was happening. And I was just watching the Thanksgiving parade. And then suddenly I'm like, I hear them mention E.T. sort of. And then this commercial starts. I'm like, holy crap, like E.T. is back in an Xfinity ad for a cable company. It was so strange. And apparently I learned from Marley let me know that Spielberg apparently did help with some of the storyboards and early on development of it, so apparently he was cool with it, and it had the original actor who played Elliot in this commercial where E.T. comes back and like hangs out with Elliot and his family and stuff. That was so strange, and it was so weird that happened. Like, I'm really confused by that happening completely. Oh, Jordan just sent a it's just a $1 super chat. Thank you very much, Jordan. The first super chat of the night. Thank you very much. Oh, we forgot to type it. Jordan, well, that Red Bull's for you. Type it in the chat and I'll type in the chat and then I'll read it. I guess. You don't need to do another. I mean, you can if you want to, but I'm just saying, since you did pay for it. I will still answer whatever you're going to say. But it was quite shocking to be watching Thanksgiving, the Thanksgiving Day parade. Jordan asks, do you think this means we won't get an ET sequel? No, I don't think we'll get an ET sequel. He tried to make one where the kids get kidnapped by aliens and then ET saves the kids and all this stuff, but that didn't happen. But I think the thing with the ad was just, it was so shocking because I think all of Twitter was like, what the fuck? We just got an ET sequel for a cable ad. And I don't even think it sold Xfinity that well. It just, it was just strange. It was just strange. It was a nice heartwarming ad, and I'm glad an ET sequel, like, I don't really want an ET sequel. Like, if you're going to do it, you should have done it in the 80s at this point. But it was kind of nice for a little ad, and when it comes on, I kind of like it. I actually saw it on the big screen when I saw when I saw Knives Out recently. So, it played pretty well on the big screen, and it's nice for the few minutes it is. I'm glad it's nothing more, because that would be honestly annoying. I want to talk about, this kind of didn't get mentioned a lot, I noticed, but Godzilla vs. King Kong has moved to next November, November 20th, 2022. or 2020, and that makes sense because that movie has no trailer and we don't know much about it. And I have another fun fact from Nighy Disney. Fun fact. Oh, we have two fun. Okay, we have two in a row. Hold on. Let me do Nighy Disney first. Then from Will, whose last name I forgot to. All right. Fun fact, Billy West used his normal voice for Fry in Futurama so that no one can replace him in the role since it's harder for VAs to copy normal voice. I didn't know that, but that makes sense. And he does have an identical, that I've heard interviews with him. He did a good Mark Maron interview. But thank you, Nighy Disney, for that. I didn't know that. And Will has asked, are we getting a live reaction to the Free Guy trailer by the end of the night? I wasn't going to do a live reaction. I was going to talk about it. I did see it. I think that's coming up actually on my little script here, but I will talk about it. Do you guys really want a live reaction to that? I don't know. Is that what you're trying to get me to do? I don't know. But thank you both for the super chat. Thank you. I kind of need this energy after. You guys are definitely building me up. This feels very good. So thank you. But yes, Godzilla vs. King Kong just seems like a lot of, I've certain like people like the John Campia and other people have been like, where's a trailer for this thing? Why aren't we getting more posters? Why aren't we getting more information? And we just weren't, and it kind of makes sense that they push it back, specifically because Godzilla sort of bombed. I think this is a summer movie. I don't think it's a November movie, but Warner Brothers probably wants, Wonder Woman 2 which we're getting a trailer for tomorrow. We got a small trailer. It looked fine, but those things go so quick, you can't really have an impression other than like, look, it's Wonder Woman. Oh, it's over. Okay. But Godzilla vs. King Kong, I think it was a smart move to push it back. They can probably work on it, do some reshoots, things like that. All right. So, I did, okay. It's people in the chat. I haven't gotten to the part where I'm going to talk about Free Guy. Tell me, Will, are you trying to say I should do that? Do people want me to do that? Because it's not going to be much of a reaction because I've already seen it. So, if you guys want me to do more of that, let me know, I guess, in advance. Maybe that would work. But if you guys want me to do it past then we can do it. Disco Spider, thank you very much for the super chat. I don't see a question, but I will. Cheers to you. All right, so let's talk about the Annie Awards. The first. Where are you, Annie Awards? Okay, the first thing about the Annie Awards that upset me, and there are a couple things actually, is that Primal didn't get nominated because what the fuck was that? How can you do an animation awards in 2019 and not have Primal? I just don't find that to be. I just don't think that doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. How you could even think of doing that, like that doesn't play with me. I just don't understand that. Green Eggs and Ham wasn't nominated as well, which I was kind of honestly surprised by. And God, there was another thing. Damn it. What was the other one? Oh, now I forgot. You know in your head when you're like, I wrote it. Oh, Hair Love. Thank you. Ryan, I had to look at my message from you from earlier. The Hair Love wasn't nominated as well. Unless I am reading that wrong, but Hair Love, to me, I mean, the thing is, the problem with the short stuff is I haven't seen every short that's around, but I am going to talk about what was nominated. Netflix, it seems, is really dominating what's going to be the best animated feature category between Klaus and I Lost My Body, which just came out this weekend. I've not gotten to see it. I really want to and do a review of it. I Lost My Body is one of my most anticipated movies of the whole year right now. But anyway, I see something about Lego Movie 2. I've noticed people really still love that thing. I don't get it, but that's fine. Anyway, so here are the best features. Frozen 2, How to Train Your Dragon, The Hidden World, How to Train Your Dragon Homecoming, which I'm going to review later in the show. That actually got nominated as well, which is kind of crazy because I think it got nominated the same day it premiered or something, which is crazy. Klaus, Missing Link, and Toy Story 4. And then Best Indie Feature, Boomwell and the Labyrinth of Turtles, I Lost My Body, which is probably going to win. Oko's in, Promare, and Weathering with You, which I don't think anyone's seen. I need to see Promare, but doing those like limited screening things never worked out for me. I think Klaus should win. I think it would mean more to animation if we have a whole Klaus year, much like what we had with Spider-Verse last year. Or, to be honest, I just want one of the Netflix ones to win because I like what they're doing with animation right now. Also, Infinity Train, the Perennial Child is the one for Best Special Production, as well as How to Train Your Dragon Homecoming got nominated. A SpongeBob episode, SpongeBob's Big Birthday Blowout, was nominated as well. I wasn't really happy with these because I think most people will say, the Primal thing, I think, to me is pretty ridiculous. I'm a little surprised How to Train Your Dragon Homecoming, although I did like it. I don't know if I would have picked that over, like, a lot of what happened this year, you know what I mean? I don't know how their nominations work, and also it's like, I haven't seen a lot of Green Eggs and Ham, more because of time, less because of anything like that. And then, isn't it Best Series? Didn't they have a Best Series? I think Tuca and Birdie was nominated Best Series. Best TV Media, Tuca, Birdie, Harley Quinn, Undone, BoJack Horseman, and Big Mouth. I think Big Mouth is gross, so I don't even get that one. But it just feels to me like they're not really capturing animation, and I don't know anyone who would act like animation is that in 2019, and it should reflect animation in 2019. It shouldn't reflect... I don't know. It's like you're going to have an animation award show and some of the best animated stuff isn't on there. Like, what is your deal, basically? I don't get it. But, hold on. We have a super chat from the Nerdist. Oh, God. You guys are, like, hitting me too much. Okay. First, the Nerdification. There was a kid show that aired on PBS in the 70s called Hoogie Carmichael Music Shop. It wasn't featured on your list. Ask Ryan Walterson. What? Well, okay. Was that an official? Ryan can, I guess, answer that, but we did not find that show, but I will say Ryan worked a hell of a long time and hard on that list. So maybe we'll look that up later. I can't look that up during a show, obviously. Because do you really want to live watch me do that? But I guess Ryan can answer that. But I am unaware of that show. I did not find that in my own research either. Will has asked. Sorry, Will. I even asked how to say his name and I forgot it. Away got no love for indie nominated feature either. How? Why? Was one of the most inspiring things I've seen all year. Not nominated. I don't know. And I think this is one of the few times I've really objected to a lot of what they're doing in this. So I'm pretty bummed. Nomination-wise, I don't think I'll be bummed when we get to the awards. But thank you, Will, for the super chat. Thank you, Nerdsification. Can't say that without sounding drunk. Both for the super chats. Cheers to you guys. Take two there. Okay. I'm going to talk about two trailers, and then I'll get to Mystery Science Theater because I have a lot to say about that. Obviously. All right. So the Free Guy trailer. I did not watch Steven Universe feature. I honestly wouldn't have had time tonight between like, my parents are coming tomorrow. We're cleaning. This chat fell apart, or this live stream fell apart early. It was not going to happen tonight. So I think I might try to watch Steven Universe feature. Is that like, just because I really didn't watch the movie, but is this like how there was that series after Transformers the movie? Is that what Steven Universe feature is like? I've noticed no one has that take because no one in the round table is old enough to get that reference. Anyway, thank you all for the super chats and for the support. You guys have been really great. I do actually have to say I have a really great audience. Thank you. Okay, so Ryan Walterson cleared that up. I knew Ryan was probably typing away. He deserves a lot of credit for that one because he worked very hard on that. Because when I was researching, I was like, holy crap, this is hard. And he did a great job. But the Hoagie Carmichael's Music Shop apparently only played in Boston area, so it wouldn't count because we did ones that played all over. But the problem is there's too many, there's a lot of PBS stations that do a lot of things. So we tried to do, anyway, we tried to do it the best we can. Okay, so the Free Guy trailer, which came out today. I had heard about this trailer or this concept previously. It seemed like a cool concept. Obviously, Ryan Reynolds is doing the movie star thing right now because who knows what's going on with Deadpool 3. He has 6 Underground coming out, I believe, next weekend on Netflix. And this Free Guy is coming out in theaters the big July 4th weekend. It looks fun. It looks very colorful. It looks like an actual fun, colorful kind of big blockbuster kind of movie. And I really love that about it. But it looks maybe a little too stupid for me right now. But I do sort of like the concept of it in terms of like he's like this free guy who picks up the glasses and becomes in the video game. I don't want it to be more complicated than that, to be honest. I think if it stays within that, I'd be happier than it goes like, you know, but maybe you could say things about fate versus free will, but being a background character in the video game is suddenly becoming a character that's playable and what that means to you and your life and personality and things like that. That could be really interesting. So it looked like kind of the basic idea like got me a little excited. I think it could be a cool video game movie, but we are going to be seeing the kind of movie stardom of Ryan Reynolds outside of Deadpool. And Taika Waititi, I didn't think was like that funny. And even though they said his name on the YouTube channel, the way I saw it on YouTube, it said Ryan Reynolds, Taika Waititi. And towards the end of the trailer, it was like, where's Taika Waititi? And then he showed up. He didn't look like that funny, but I'm curious where this all is gonna go, and like when we learn more of the plot, how I'll feel about that. Next up, it's a Sean Levy movie. Oh, I didn't know that, Ryan. You just killed it for me. Damn it. Didn't know that. The Black Widow trailer came out this week. It looked fun. It's honestly way too late for this thing at this point. She answered a question about that on the Colbert Report, which I thought was her being sort of diplomatic, but it's basically like she feels that where she is with the performance, how she knows the character, you can only make this version of the movie now, which is like, yeah, okay, sure. It looks fine. I'm kind of more interested in most of the actors who aren't Scarlett Johansson in that, although she did just drop Marriage Story, which everyone's freaking out about, and I have not gotten to watch yet, but plan to, and probably cry a lot or something. But this looked fine. It looked fun. I do feel like Marvel has a bit of a problem this year in that they kind of like blew their whole wad last year, and this year it's like, hey, the Black Widow movie waited too long for, and also the Eternals, and I'm not sure if people I'm sorry, Will, I forgot that it was Sean Levy. I apologize for that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. Anyway, the Black Widow trailer just didn't really like blow me away, but when people are like comparing it to like a more fun Red Sparrow, I was like, yeah, this looks like the Red Sparrow I would actually want to sit through. Florence Pugh looked like a lot of fun, but didn't really connect to me fully on the plot. It was more like, here are these characters, here's this fun, but if we're being honest with ourselves, that's what you sell Marvel movies on. So I get it. Alright, so Mystery Science Theater 3000 was canceled by Netflix. Again, Will, I'm sorry, I forgot about the Sean Levy thing. Anyway, Mystery Science Theater was canceled by Netflix right before Turkey Day, which is a real gut punch to the fandom because Mystery Science Theater, Turkey Day is a big thing. It's, you know, they do the marathons, they do the live streams now, it's a huge thing. And it getting canceled hurt because I think we all kind of were hoping there would be a season 3. Netflix only really paid for one season because I helped pay for that first season with Kickstarter. They did chime in some stuff, but I never felt like, I don't know, I never felt like they did the show total justice because I just felt like an F in the chat for MST3K. I don't know. Hey Marley, how's it going, man? But yeah, I just felt like the season that they paid for was shorter. They put it out on Thanksgiving, which at first felt like, oh, we're getting new ones on Turkey Day, but that sort of didn't help it because most of the people I know who covered the previous season, which was longer, didn't cover this one because Thanksgiving and Christmas and there's so many movies and there's all this stuff going on, you didn't have time. So, but by the time you did have time, it was way too late. Like I didn't even get to review all of the episodes. So I don't think Netflix like treated it as well as they could. I do think they sort of used Mystery Science Theater and its fandom, not to the extent like Sci-Fi Channel actually really used Mystery Science Theater to get in more homes. Like they actually did do that, and then they dumped it after 3 seasons. Netflix, I don't think it like made as big of a difference as it did with Sci-Fi at that time in Sci-Fi's life. But they didn't do it. They didn't do it right. I think like, you know, give them another season, give them another chance. But then I was thinking about, and I like Jonah, I like the new cast, I like everyone in there, and I think I like all the new episodes. I know some people haven't gotten to catch up with it. Please, Cry Wilderness was my favorite episode, but if you're going to start, please watch the first one, because it is a quicker riffing style, and I would say just get used to it, because you don't want to like ruin a good episode based on like just getting used to a thing. So I'd say just watch the first two of the whatever season it was, the first season on Netflix, of the Netflix original ones. So it got me thinking about what you would do with Mystery Science Theater. And first off, I would like Jonah and them to continue. I have no ill will towards them. I've always liked Jonah. I've been very pro him. And I do think the fandom's in an interesting place, because just based on, we have the live tours now. We have more meetups than we ever did. I did notice that the first tour was really big. We heard a lot of press about it. And based on just like, I don't talk about my own YouTube views on here, but I've reviewed all 3 of the live tours. And the first one, I think, is still like maybe the biggest in terms of views. The second one is the lowest. And the third one, people keep watching. The tour that's going on for a while, where they do once a weekend and stuff. That's my wife cooking, by the way, if you can hear that. So you can see Circus Magic, Jim. Thank you, Austin. I will drink to that. I hope that's her cooking. Anyway, Mystery Science Theater, yes, I just feel like the fandom goes through like waves and peaks and valleys and stuff. But obviously, there's more of a fandom now. We're meeting more. We're meeting up more. We have more events to go to. Like, we just had the 2 conventions in the 90s, which I didn't get to go to in Minnesota before. So I think the brand is really hot. So I think you could get it on another streaming service. But here's how I would really reboot it, for the record. I think it's cool doing kind of an LA Hollywood season with Netflix, and I have no problems with that. But at the same time, one of the things I always loved about Mystery Science Theater is it was a small show out of Minnesota. The most famous person was Joel, and they basically just had all these smaller comedians who, they did shows, and they might have a little bit of a following, but they could have never gotten their weird humor anywhere else. So, like, forget the streaming services. Any chance of... forget the streaming services, although Zane Powers on the super chat, thank you, Zane Powers, very much. Cheers to you. So one of the things I should say from Zane Powers' super chat there, of any chance of me continuing with another platform, Joel and the creators of Mystery Science Theater own the rights to Mystery Science Theater, so it can go to other streaming platforms. Based on that, the Netflix episodes will stay on Netflix. I don't think they can get those back, but I don't think Netflix will take them down, so it's not a concern. But it can go to another streaming platform if they desire it. So, but I think if they did that, I'm very pro that. But it's like, what would you? I kind of was thinking about how I would reboot it, and I was thinking about the Minnesota thing, and you had these smaller comedians and unknown people. Mystery Science Theater has a YouTube channel with little clips and things like that. Basically, here's what I'm saying. The show having a huge budget was really cool. I love that. But let's bring the budget down and start a Patreon and make a YouTube channel for Mystery Science Theater with smaller comedians in Minnesota. Get a warehouse somewhere there. And just once a month, we get a Mystery Science Theater episode, and maybe 2 weeks after the episode, we get them doing a short. And that's how you do it. And just, like, get newer, different talent we haven't heard of. I like Jonah and Hampton and I like everybody. Like, and I think Gypsy's voice should still be a girl. I saw on the Turkey Day stream they had the girl from the circus tour, and it could be her. I don't know. I just want someone riffing who's good at riffing and things like that, and Joel can still be involved. But what I'm saying is, let's get Mystery Science Theater sort of back to its like smaller roots and do it through YouTube. I think that would be really cool, and I think that would be something that would be really neat to do, and I think it would be a good passing of the torch, you know. And you can just have it like it would be more of an event. You'd be like, oh, it's the beginning of the month or the end of the month. I don't know when they would do it, but you know, it would be that time of the month, and you'd be like, there's a new Mystery Science Theater, and they could spread it out more, and they could be like, oh, they did this movie, oh my god, and then they can do one, you know, a lesser movie in a lesser month. It could make them more events and stuff. They could take off for a few months to go on tour. They could be like, let's have just you know, maybe 10 episodes a year, 9 episodes a year, and then they tour when they're not doing that and stuff like that. And it wouldn't seem as like hard to do because that's like their everyday job. And I think you could, I mean, they had one of the biggest Kickstarters in Kickstarter history for a TV show. So just think of what that Patreon would be. I'm just saying, I think that's how I would reboot Mystery Science Theater, is let's make it weird again. Let's make it strange again. Let's make it small again. And I think that would really work for it. And I think that's kind of more of the spirit of Mystery Science Theater, to be honest with you. By the way, I know some of my comments could be construed as against Jonah and that crew. I'm really not. I think they did a great job. But it is kind of the celebrity Mystery Science Theater. And I'm just saying, I think it might be good for the thing to kind of go back and kind of build itself up again, and also more people and different people could see it. I don't know. I think it would be cool. That's just kind of something I was thinking about even before this happened, that might be the best way to do it after this. And the show can continue because they own the rights, which you can't do anymore in media. So it's kind of cool that since Joel had a good agent back in the early 90s, that's how that happened. But anyway, that's how... I'm not sure how loud that thing is. Anyway, that's how I would reboot Mystery Science Theater for 2019. That's how I would reboot Mystery Science Theater for the future. All right. Oh, we have a super chat before I move on to something else. Fun fact, Carrie Fisher got annoyed on the set of Star Wars when people were joking about how revealing the slave outfit is. So she went to the photocopied her breasts and gave out copies? Damn. Carrie Fisher doesn't give no fucks, guys. Like, wow. That's crazy. That's great. That connects to because I did Return of the Ewok, but I'm a little... Okay. Yichu comes up with facts that both are from movies that you'd think I would know these facts, and then they just stun me. You're very good at that. I love it. All right. So before I want to talk about Infinity Train, but let's talk about the Mulan trailer. I know it was controversial because of the comments that the star made. I don't fully understand the political situation in China, and I don't really want to comment on it. But I'm not really a huge fan of cops. So I'm sure I probably disagree with her, but I honestly, I'll just go off of what the on brand Carrie Fisher, nice one, Cashew's the musical. But I will base this on what the trailer was. I thought it looked like a good trailer to me. Think this trailer, they spent a lot on this movie, like $300 million. They're really pushing it. It should also be known that the original Mulan didn't really get released in China. So this is really their push to make Mulan be a thing in the Disney kind of property. Obviously, it's like a legend. You don't need to say that. Be a thing in China that it's never been, which is sort of an interesting play. They're not really talking about that as much because of fights they had over a previous film, Kundun, directed by Martin Scorsese, interestingly enough. They couldn't really get Mulan put in too many theaters in China. So this is really their actual push for Mulan. And it doesn't look like it's going too well, but it did look like a better kind of trailer for one of the reboots, or live action remake things. It actually made me sort of excited for it, but I'm not totally invested in it or anything like that. But it looked a little more promising. It looked like I'd go to this not going like, ugh, I have to see this. I'd be like, I have to see this. So that's the whole thing with that one. All right. So Infinity Train Book 2. I think with Infinity Train, we heard there was going to be a book 2. We were kind of confused because at first it was all about Tulip, and suddenly it's about Jesse, and everyone's like, what's going on here? How did this happen? And Owen Dennis kind of cleared that up on Twitter, saying that when Infinity Train was picked up, it was picked up for 20 episodes. And when they found that out, they're like, oh, I mean, we only really wanted 10, and Cartoon Network was like, suck it, bitch, you're making 20. So they made them make 20 episodes of Infinity Train, and so then they decided it was an anthology show, and kind of came up with the other thing with Jesse and what we were seeing the trailers for and everything like that. I think it looks really cool. I think we're going to have a cool... I think it'll be a cool idea, and it sounds like they've opened up Infinity Train for more stuff. It's coming out on January 6th, 2020. It's probably the first cool thing I'm going to see in January 2020. Book 1 soundtrack is out now, but basically that's what happened is when they were kind of picking it up, Cartoon Network, and it seems like Warner Media in general is very high on Infinity Train. I am as well. I think it's going to be really cool. I think I'm probably going to do like a best of the shorts compilation kind of video for Infinity Train right before that premiere, or that's my plan at least. But it is interesting that it got picked up immediately, and the creators kind of had to come up with something to do because the network was like, we love this so much, we want more episodes. Like, we don't have more, I don't know what to do. So they were kind of developing this other thing that they hadn't developed previously. So I'm worried a little bit about the quality, but maybe that'll actually work out for them. I don't feel like, from what I've seen, worried about it, but hearing that in development makes me a little worried, but not too worried. And I believe in Owen Dennis. Man, there's like too many things this week. All right, so Wes Ball, who previously directed the Maze Runner movies, and I gotta say this about, and he did, I know Will's gonna have opinions on this in the chat. He did the Maze Runner films, and then he was going to do the Mouse Guard, and that got canceled by Disney. And now they've assigned him to do a new thing with Planet of the Apes. I'm going to say that I saw the first couple Maze Runners. I saw the first two. I didn't see the third one because it got delayed because of the thing with the star getting run over by a car on set, which is pretty horrible. But one thing I really liked about the Maze Runner films is they were always moving, because, you know, they're called like Maze Runners. They're running, and it made it feel much more propulsive than like Hunger Games or the Divergent series, because, you know, all those, they'd like stand around and here's the dumb rules of our dystopian society and all this stuff, and it'd be really like stilted, and I never really liked those movies that much. But the Maze Runner films were kind of like good for what they are. I think they're really they were better directed than they had any right to be, and he was probably a hungrier director than any of the directors who did the Hunger Games or the Divergence or however many of the others they were. He was a young director who had something to prove, and he proved it with it. And I remember thinking, like, he's smart because he directed these in a way that, like, I don't love the Maze Runners or anything, but I would I would watch the third one. I planned to watch it at some point because I liked how quickly it moved and how well it understood itself. I have seen, and this isn't just to call out Will, and I'm sorry if I'm picking on you, Will, the Mouse Guard thing, I have seen a lot of people say, oh, Mouse Guard was canceled so he could do Planet of the Apes. To my understanding, they're kind of separate things, and I think when they canceled it, Disney was like, look, we have this really promising director. We want him to do something, and I've heard they've kind of gone to bigger directors. Hold on, sorry. Your audio sync fixed. Thank you, Ghetto Beaner. That's a weird name. Yes, it is fixed. There was that audio issue earlier. We're feeling better about it. Sorry, to talk about Wes Ball, I think they were kind of like, I've heard what they go to directors and they go, here's all the IP we want to do something with. What are you interested in? And that might have been what happened. They might have said, hey, this Planet of the Apes thing's a big thing. We would like someone to do something with it, and we feel like you'd be the right guy. That could happen too. But I honestly think there's so much time between where the last trilogy left off and the first Charlton Heston Planet of the Apes, because when that Planet of the Apes takes place, when not the Charlton Heston part in the Earth, well, okay, it is Earth, spoilers, it was Earth all along. Sorry if I spoiled Planet of the Apes. Okay, so when he goes to the future ape world, I think I'm doing this right, there's like a lot of hundreds of years between that. So I think you could do something that happens between those two, although it's sort of a reboot, but there's a lot of areas you could do with Planet of the Apes with that franchise. And I hope they do that. I don't think you could do more with Caesar, but I think there's stuff you could do in that. So I don't know enough about this, but For the Love of the Glove is a musical from the perspective of Michael Jackson's glove. It sounds pretty crazy. Johnny Depp was supposedly involved, but now they're saying he's not. And I don't know what's happening with this, but if anyone could make an animated movie with that would be amazing. It just sounds like a crazy idea, particularly like where Michael Jackson stands right now. Like, do you really think like anyone would really want that? Like, it's not like a funny time for Michael Jackson. I don't know what they're thinking. It just makes it anyway. All right. So the one thing I kept seeing from people, but that Michael, For the Love of the Glove sounds like such a disaster. I would really like to see a review of it from someone. So Cartoon Network's president, Christina Miller, has sorry, I keep reading Marley's things. He always has good super chats. Thank you, Marley. Or he has good chats. He wasn't. Anyway, he knows what I mean. Everyone knows what I mean. It's been a crazy night. All right. So Cartoon Network's president, Christina Miller, has stepped down. Who's the head of adults? She's the president. She runs things like Cartoon Network, Boomerang, Adult Swim. So at first, everyone was like cheering, like, "Hey, we don't like Teen Titans Go." And this is great that she's gone and stuff, which I thought was a little stupid, to be honest with you. Because, and before you go like off on this thing, is that a lot of people are leaving. Big executives who made these networks what they were, like HBO in particular, are bouncing from Warner Media like crazy. We previously talked about a rumor about Mike Lazo on a older movie, crap, I forget, but I know I talked to someone, put it in the chat before, and we talked about that. And I kind of don't think this is great. I know everyone's like the whole thing with they play too much Teen Titans Go and stuff like that. Frankly, most kids I know who watch Cartoon Network watch it on demand or watch it through the app, or like they don't watch like the regular terrestrial channel. Like, I know like that's such a cartoon community thing, but I'm like, that's only for like 20-year-olds who watch Cartoon Network. Like, most of the target demo doesn't even know like that's a channel. Like, I don't even understand what you're talking about. So I think the concern of her leadership, because she did make a lot of cool stuff and everything, but I think the concern of her leadership was a little mishandled by everybody, and they don't really understand what's going on, because this is most likely bad, unless Warner Media knows what they're doing, which everyone kind of fears they don't. So I'm going to say put this more in the be scared category, and less of like, hey, you have less Teen Titans Go, like who cares, to be honest with you, because just be worried that like she had to make a decision. They wanted her on, and she was like, this looks crappy, I'm leaving. But Michael Owen, I think. I can't say his name. Who helped create Harvey Birdman, is the kind of acting president or whatever, like that. Apparently, Disney actually is going to get in trouble for antitrust laws, but in South Korea. South Korea is mad that they took out so many of their screens for Frozen 2 and felt it broke antitrust laws. So, although America won't get mad at them, South Korea has stepped up, which I kind of like that. So there's going to be a Train to Busan sequel, because there was already a sort of prequel sort of happened at the same time with Seoul Station, the animated kind of other one. But it's going to be called Peninsula. It's coming next year. It's already filming, so there's going to be a Train to Busan sequel. Train to Busan is great. Seoul Station is pretty good. But you should see that if you haven't. It's a cool zombie animated film. We don't get a lot of those, guys. Adam Sandler. Okay, so I want to talk about this Adam Sandler news because it's kind of interesting. So everyone took it online. I noticed everyone was like, "Oh, well, Adam Sandler said, if he doesn't get nominated for an Oscar, he's going to intentionally make a bad movie." And they're like, "Oh, you've already done that." I don't take this as that. I don't take this as Adam Sandler is making isn't aware he makes bad movies. I'm looking at this as he has a nuclear option, and he will make a movie so bad that we don't even know what's going to hit us. He will make something like I'm like, think about this. Think about Adam Sandler has not intentionally made a bad movie. Like, he didn't go out and set out to make a bad movie. What if that man, because we do not recognize him for Uncut Gems, literally tries to make the worst thing he can think of? Like, Netflix won't stop him. There's no checks and balances. We're not ready for this, man. It's gonna hit us like a ton of bricks, and we don't even know. So part of me doesn't want him nominated because that sounds horrific, and I don't think this movie landscape is ready for Adam Sandler's full fury of shittiness to really hit us. Because that's how I look at that. I look at that as a proclamation. I'm like, I have it. I have the script. Because can you think about the scripts he turns down, man? Think about that. That'll keep you up at night. Because he's going to do it. He'll do it. And there's a good chance he might not get nominated. Because I've heard it's a good movie. And the Oscars aren't so into those. Anyway, so the No Time to Die trailer. It is from... I think I scared everybody. So the No Time to Die trailer came out this week. This is the new James Bond movie. It's coming out in April of 2020. It's directed by Corey Fukunaga. I think I said that right. I apologize if I did not. It looked pretty cool. It looked like a cool modern Bond trailer. Daniel Craig, everything like that. My one thing with it is, one, you get all this stuff with the 007 being a different spy agent than James Bond, which I think is a cool concept, particularly because it's a black woman. I think that's cool. But at the same time, the only thing... It is interesting because Bond films do this thing where if there's like a Bond film that everyone hates, which would be Spectre, they really try hard to make it really good the next time, and they sort of the thing with Bond is they react to the previous film and the current landscape. And I think we're going to get reboot culture, MCU continuity, and that this has to be good. So Blofeld being back is like their MCU thing. I definitely think Rami Malek's playing Dr. No. If you look at that place he's in, it looks like Dr. No's place. See Dr. No to help you out. If you haven't seen the first James Bond movie, The Incredibles is very influenced by Dr. No, so that should give you some encouragement. But I think, to me, it looks pretty cool. Ana de Armas is in it, and like, damn, she has range. Like, seeing that and Knives Out the same week, you're like, what's going on with this girl? She's cool. I don't understand how she connects to it, since Leah Saduki's, I guess, is clearly the Bond girl he's like more interested in, so I'm curious how that works. But to me, it just looked like, they're going to have Dr. No in this one and Blofeld, and it's going to be a fun adventure, and I'm hoping it's actually good. I've heard it's very influenced by Logan, is what I've always heard about it. We have another super chat. Fun fact, Robin Williams had to be censored in 4 different languages for Mork and Mindy, since he kept saying inappropriate things in different languages. I didn't know that. Sounds like Robin Williams. Thank you very much, Nighy Disney, for the super chat. Moving on. So, Ghostbusters Afterlife, we're going to get a trailer on Monday. We're getting a lot of trailers next week, big trailers like Wonder Woman 84 and Ghostbusters Afterlife, which is the name of it. The pictures look cool. We got kind of a confirmation that everybody's back. Bill Murray, Ernie Hudson, Dan Aykroyd, Sigourney Weaver, but Rick Moranis is not coming back. He said he's not interested in playing a role he played 30 years ago. So it looks promising right now. Apparently it's like a family who finds like the Ecto-1 in a barn, and they start discovering what the Ghostbusters were. And that sounds kind of interesting, but I kind of want to see a trailer explain it to me better than that. But in other Rick Moranis news, apparently there's going to be sorry, chair was being weird. A Honey, I Shrunk the Kids reboot is going to be called Shrunk. And Shrunk is going to star Josh Gad as one of Rick Moranis' kids, who is shrunk, I'm assuming, or he was blown up. I'm not sure which kid, but I'm assuming he was one of the shrunk kids with the glasses, because he wears glasses, so why wouldn't they? Is going to play, and he's an inventor as well, and he shrinks his own kids. And Joe Johnson, which is probably one of the biggest surprises of the whole thing, is going to be directing it, which I thought he retired, but he seems to not really sure what he wants to do. Who directed The Rocketeer and directed Captain America: First Avenger and October Sky and Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and did a lot of special effects work for the Star Wars trilogy. He's awesome, and Raiders of the Lost Ark, by the way. He's really cool. I'm excited, but more excited because he's involved. But it's a script that Josh Gad came up with since his Muppets reboot didn't happen. But everyone keeps saying, "Oh, they'll offer Rick Moranis a ton of money and he'll come back." And I'm like, didn't you just hear about Ghostbusters? Like, I don't. Those connect, right? Like, he's not. It's not like he's gonna go, "Oh, but I'll come back for Honey, I Shrunk the Kids." I don't think he's coming back for this, guys. But I've noticed people seem to think he is. All right, so the Sony kind of copying thing that happened with the advertisement that played for PlayStation, it was directed by this guy Kevin Bao. He's sort of known for doing that, and not in the way that it's like, postmodernism and he's referencing things, in the way that he copies things. And he basically, it seems like Sony took down the ad. A former workplace that didn't employ him for like 2 years, which is okay, guys. You really made a statement there. Has said they're not going to work with him anymore, which is like, I don't know what you're doing, but we don't know the studio that made the ad. We don't know the whole situation behind the Sony animation, the ad being made. We don't know anything about it. We just know that he's taken down most of his work and like left in disgrace. It ripped off Fooly Cooley, some student short films, a Steven Universe movie, but it just I don't know. I thought it was pretty in poor taste of Kevin Bao to do that and to release it. And if that's his style, he needs to have a point with it. It seems like he was just ripping people off because he didn't have any good ideas. Because also his style sort of ripped off Bill Plimpton for me. I don't really have much else to say. Really, to be honest, I feel like it's just kind of in poor taste that he did that. Hold on. I will get to the super chat. I should get to the super chat. I just want to get back to my script. Okay, Will, how's it going, man? All right, what's interesting about Ghostbusters 3 is that it's written by Gil Keane, director of Monster House. That is interesting. I forgot about that. And his own film coming out next year, A Boy Called Christmas, Strange Resurgence. That's interesting. I think it's because Monster House, because of the Dan Harmon connection, has been revisited a lot recently. Sorry, figure of Jim. Cheers to that. When are we getting the Ghost Buddies? Thank you, St. Powers, for that super chat. 2024, that's what I heard. All right, so some things about, there was a variety story about all the DC movies. I'm just going to go over those real quick. The big one that Michael B. Jordan had met with DC or Warner Brothers or whatever about a Superman movie that he pitched where he would play Superman, but then they went, but he's also too busy to like do that. And I was like, well then what? I don't know, whatever. That sounds cool. I do think Michael B. Jordan should be in more big movie star stuff. I think he could be really cool in that role, but we don't really know much about it or what the pitch even was, or if he just said Superman and they're like, what? And they go, let's eat pizza. Sorry. He could have gone, my take on Superman is, what if I eat pizza in Warner Brothers offices for a while and you guys pay for it? And they go, that's cool with me. Let's tell the media we had a meeting. I hope that's what happened. Apparently, Bad Robot has had talks about Superman. Nothing concrete, but it sounds like they're more pushing the Green Lantern Corps first before the Superman stuff, and J.J. Abrams apparently would not direct that. So anything about J.J. Abrams directing Superman or anything like that, Marley, I don't know how I sleep. This is the whole thing. Sorry. But we don't know really the Green Lantern Corps. We don't know who's directing or anything that's going on like that, but it looks like right now Green Lantern Corps will be the first DC movie made under the Bad Robot Warner Brother deal. All right, so Bill Nighy is suing Disney. Not enough people are talking about this. Apparently, it's taken him forever to get full financial statements about what they're not paying him for his former show, which they helped produce, and he's been very patient about that, and sometimes having to wait 2 to 3 years to even get a full audit, and he is fully suing Disney. Apparently, we should be talking about that more, because why are you screwing over someone nice like Bill Nighy? That's not cool. Reno 911 is coming back on Quibi. Quibi apparently is the Jeffrey Katzenberg disaster that is looming. It is going to be a mobile only. It's sort of like if YouTube was made by, big Hollywood people and you had to pay for it, is what Quibi is. And they're going to do Reno 911. It's just Thomas Lennon, the guy who did the voice of the Taco Bell dog, and the lady who's not in the Goldbergs. I should have taken more notes on this. But apparently it is coming back to Reno 911. Comedy Central is involved. We only know about those 3 cast members. Supposedly more might be announced, but since they're doing them in like quick little bursts that are just a couple minutes, I could see people coming back, but no one's been announced thus far. So Mad Max news. Oh, we are getting towards the end of this. Okay, Mad Max news. Mad Max. George Miller has said they are developing and working on a Mad Max 5. No one knows what it's called, whether it's a Furiosa movie, what's going on, but apparently it is being developed. It sounds like him and Warner has at least made peace with that, and it's going to be worked on after he works on his film 3,000 Years of Longing. I'm very excited for that. It sounds like, but he works, one of the things that made Fury Road so good is he got to work on the storyboards and develop it for so long. So I would like him to work on it as long as he wants to, but he's also kind of getting up there, so maybe a right mix of not being too old and not and dying and it actually getting made. But apparently they are working on that, and which is interesting time to bring it up since Fury Road keeps getting on a lot of best of the decade lists. Will it get on the top of mind? Probably. It's fucking amazing. Elizabeth Banks it was released that Elizabeth Banks is working on an Invisible Woman movie. Apparently this was in development for a long time and before Charlie's Angels, but because that bombed, they wanted to release something that she was doing to kind of like make people see her better. So she's continued to work on that, but that's why that kind of got, if it seemed political and specific why that got released when it did, there was an actual reason for it from what I've heard. All the Ghibli stuff is going to be on digital for download and purchase. December 17th, it is going to be streaming on HBO Max coming up. You really should own all those movies on DVD anyway, like I do, because why wouldn't you? I don't. I find that's weird that people were like, but I wanted to download on digital. I'm like, don't you own the DVDs? I just thought everyone did that, but I guess no one did. So 2 Aladdin things, I guess, and then other things. The Aladdin spin-off with the prince that no one liked from the Aladdin movie is happening. I thought that prince was annoying. I can't believe they're doing a spin-off of him. I think it is a terrible idea. I don't know why they're thinking of doing that. And it came like a day or two after finding out the lead who played Aladdin hasn't got booked an audition since Aladdin came out, which made $1 billion, which is ridiculous. Now, a lot of movie press people, and this is like something, and I'm not saying I don't think he's a liar. I'm really not trying to say that. But a lot of people have said, who is his agent that is going on? And a lot of people have said it might be a failure of representation. Rather than the entire system itself, but a lot of people have tried to reach for comment, and apparently he has not responded as of yet, so that might be the situation. I kind of, personally, I hope it is, because I found him to be very charismatic, and I thought he did have a future career. Frankly, I'm a little shocked that he hasn't been at least offered something, but apparently he does have a few things coming up, but not as much as you would think, and I think that's a shame, because I don't like the Aladdin remake movie, but I did think I felt like he was maybe a little too green for that movie. I don't think that was fair for him, but I feel like he does have a promising career, so I hope like maybe this will get him more roles, maybe that was the point of it, but either way, it sounds like 1, he needs better representation, and 2, Hollywood needs to be more accepting of him. I'm not trying to like disregard his comments, but a lot of people have been like, that does seem very off, so I would say I hope that gets settled. All right, so I'm just gonna do a review of one thing. Oh yeah, that's true. Marley brings up that there is an Aladdin sequel they're planning. They're still planning that, by the way, apparently, but no one knows very much of anything of what they're planning. I was gonna review The Mandalorian, but it is getting late. So I'm not going to talk about that, and I feel a little discombobulated, so I'm just going to leave that one alone, but I am going to talk about How to Train Your Dragon Homecoming. And then we'll get into Will has a Patreon question, and then, sorry, Will. I feel like I'm being not nice to you. I apologize. And then we'll do chat questions after that. So How to Train Your Dragon Homecoming was the latest Christmas special. It aired this week. And basically, at first, I wasn't really too keen on this Christmas special because it's basically because, like, if you saw the end of How to Train Your Dragon 3, you sort of know that, like, it kind of ended perfectly. How to Train Your Dragon 3 might not have been the best movie or anything like that, but it ended very cohesively, I thought we were fine with that, and I was a little like annoyed by a Christmas special even happening. But as I'm a huge fan, of course, I had to because I'm a huge fan. I had to see it, and I was a little worried when watching it because it's so heavy on the continuity of the How to Train Your Dragon films that I wasn't sure if anyone who wasn't aware of them, which, I mean, they are big movies, most people are, would even really want to watch this thing and would be able to follow it. My daughter was watching with me, and she seemed to follow it fine. I don't know if she was just like happy with all the stuff in it or anything like that. I quite liked it, actually. I thought it did a nice job of kind of like using the continuity that's already there. Having like Hiccup having a daughter who hates dragons is a nice touch. Frankly, if they're ever going to reboot it, they should pick that plot line up again. I liked like what it meant to that culture. Like they definitely like used the continuity. They didn't do too many characters, which frankly I would have liked the streamlining of this special in the third movie with like out all the various different characters they had in that. It's more, I think, because they couldn't get all the voice actors back or something. But I thought it played into what Christmas was really well, but more played into the relationship that Toothless and Hiccup have, which is kind of the centerpiece of all the How to Train Your Dragon things. And going into kind of the legacy and the lore of it, but also kind of the idea of Christmas and family, and how kind of part of Hiccup's family is Toothless, and part of him growing up was Toothless, and him being around is important. And I think one of the things about How to Train Your Dragon is it treated the dragons as pets, and pets are an important part of your family, and I think that was very heartwarming and beautiful. And I really liked what they did with the special. I was really surprised because I honestly wasn't for it. I'd heard it was good, but I was like kind of like a little shrugging that they were even frankly doing it. I thought it was a dumb idea, but I thought they did a really good job with bringing these characters back, and I wouldn't have a huge problem with them like doing another one in a couple years or something like that if they're going to do it on this level where it's like clearly like the dragons like visit and like no one really knew, and like they did it was in a very classy way. I thought they handled it actually very well, so I liked it. Ryan has brought up that this is the second holiday special after 2011's The Gift of the Night Fury, which I actually never saw. I don't know why. I didn't see that. I don't really have. I can just say I like both the Mandalorians. We have another fun fact from Nighy Disney. Fun fact: before any shirtless scenes, Tom Cruise would soak in a bathtub full of ice and cold water for 5 to 10 minutes so his muscles would tighten up. That's gross. I'll drink to that, but that's gross. All right. Yeah, we'll talk about the Mandalorian. So the last two Mandalorian episodes, which are Chapter 4 and Chapter 5, the Gunslinger and the Seven Samurai one, I thought were both really good. They both play like a Western show more so than anything. And I mentioned this on Twitter, like your criticism of the Mandalorian kind of plays like how you feel about. Thank you for the super chat again, Nighy Disney. I forget if I said thank you, but anyway, your feelings on the Mandalorian of these episodes being pointless kind of shows me how little certain people know about Westerns, and maybe y'all should watch some Gunsmoke or something. The first episode, the fourth one, was very much based on Seven Samurai. I like what they did with Gina Carano, who probably did one of her best acting jobs I've ever seen from her. I like that episode, and I like when Star Wars acknowledges the Akira Kurosawa influences. It's one of the reasons I like Last Jedi, to be honest with you, because it was able to reference and use the influence of Akira Kurosawa. I think the fourth episode did that very well. It was maybe the worst directed one, and a lot of people are bringing that up. It was directed by Bryce Dallas Howard. I don't know her other stuff. I feel like I might have seen something from her. I know she wants to direct more. I don't know much about any of that. But I didn't think it was the best directed Seven Samurai riff I've ever seen in my life. But I still quite liked it. I like what they did with it. I thought it was like a fun little episode. None of these have been really bad. I know people have gotten upset at the last two, but to me, I don't really get that. The second one, the one that aired, I guess, or came out or whatever, or dropped, uploaded, something, episode 5, The Gunslinger, I actually really like that. I like Dave Filoni's direction. I know this one referenced, Mos Eisley, and they went to Tatooine. It did feel a little too much at times with that, but I was sort of fine with it. I liked Amy Sedaris playing basically Sigourney Weaver in Aliens, but I thought she was really good. I sort of like the comedic people that everyone's saying Dave Filoni cast them. I thought Jon Favreau cast them, but him and Filoni are obviously executive producers on that, so who knows. But I like those casting choices. I think it opens up Star Wars quite a bit more so than we've seen from various other people. But it did feel like a classic Westerns thing. A lot of people are saying it's influenced by The Searchers. No. I'm just going to tell you that right now. That is not what happened in that one. It felt like a classic Western. It was definitely structured like a classic Western. That is not The Searchers. That is not what The Searchers is about. I understand there's like 5 Westerns people bring up, but it's cool that you did that. You should see The Searchers, by the way, but that's not what was going on here. It was basically like the idea of, it was Bobby Cannavale's son, which is super weird. I didn't think Bobby Cannavale was that old to have a son who's like in his mid-20s, but I didn't. His acting wasn't great, but I get that his thing was that he's supposed to be wooden and kind of like unsure of himself, so that sort of worked for it. I was fine with it. They did like kill the woman off, who is the voice of Mulan, whose name I forget right now, but I thought they did a good job. I know that, by the way, they did the Seven Samurai thing in Clone Wars. I'd heard that before, by the way, Austin. But I like what they're doing with the show. I like these kind of isolated Western episodes, and I think it goes to what Star Wars is, which is Akira Kurosawa cowboys in space, and that's what The Mandalorian feels like, and it's really great at doing that. I don't think they can't do episodes like the Tatooine one too much. I was fine with it being an episode. I sort of like seeing Tatooine and how it's changed post the Battle of Endor and the Empire falling and stuff. I found that to be actually really interesting and refreshing, to be honest with you. It's kind of like going back to your hometown and finding out that like things have changed and the center of the town is somewhere else, and it's this weird feeling. And if you've ever done that, it is weird. And I kind of looked at it more like that than any basic kind of boringness of it. I'm liking where Mandalorian's going so far, and I think 4 and 5 were kind of like what I wanted to be and what I expected to be. I still think it's like, if you have a problem with these, maybe you have a problem with Westerns, and maybe you have a problem with samurai films, and maybe that's on you, because like under the guise of that, The Mandalorian is exactly that. Like, he doesn't need to do a crazy thing with Baby Yoda every episode, but I thought he did a good job with Baby Yoda. And I like Baby Yoda in these, and him and Amy Sedaris hanging out, and all the prequel references and everything like that. So far, I'm still very satisfied, and I like that it's at its core, it feels like a 70s Western show. It feels like, something that would play next to Gunsmoke, or what was the made-up show in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood or something. It feels like exactly like one of those, but with Star Wars, and that's my jam. That's something I really want, and I find it both respectful and interested in going into those influences. All right, so let's read Will's thing, and then we'll do chat questions, and then let's get out of here, because I don't even remember. How long have we been doing this? Not as long as usual, but, we all got to go to bed, right? Anyway. All right, so this is Will. I'm sorry I'm picking on you, Will. Sorry. Will saw a lot of animated films recently. I'm sorry to call you out. And he brought up Away, and he's very passionate about it. And one thing I know about Will is when he gets very passionate about a movie, he definitely wants everyone to see it. And I like that, because not a lot... Bounty Law, thank you, everybody. Not everybody... starring Rick Dalton. Not everybody does that when they see smaller movies. And I think that's actually a really cool thing that he does. Because there's definite movies he's trying to get me to see, and I think has gotten me to see, but... let's just say trying, because there's one I need to see before the end of the year, and I agree with him. So anyway, I'm going to read this out. I'd recently watched a silent VOD release for a 2019 animated film, Away. And before I ask my question, everyone should watch it. Only cost me $3 to rent for 2 days. I honestly might even buy it. I, honest to God, watched it 4 times in that time span. It was like a drug almost. Away is a film that we do not see much of anymore. It's striving to be the next Pixar, DreamWorks, Studio Ghibli, entirely comfortable with it being its own thing, and any demographic can enjoy and take something from it. Now, bringing back that Away was almost entirely made by one guy. I'm not doing that one. Okay. By one guy, do you think we're potentially going to be seeing different voices pop up in similar styles of debuts, especially from different countries, with maybe new perspective. This is something I want to talk about, actually. Considering culture with fresh ways of telling stories. Watch or listen to some reviews with this director. Also, he's a very interesting man with a fantastic career, hopefully ahead of him. Actually, I've been saying this for a long time, that I think what's going to happen with animation is you're going to, since Sid sings the blues, which was about over a decade ago, that you're going to see more smaller productions pop up and more independent animation and smaller animation that you didn't expect before. Yes, please do the question thing. That does help, by the way. And I think you are going to see more of that. I'm surprised because that was almost like, I think it was 2006 or something like that. I forget when Sid sings the blues is. There hasn't been a ton of it, because it takes a lot to make an animated film, and I think I think it'd be very hard to do. I think that's the problem with it. But I think you will see more of that, and you should be seeing more of that. And I hope anyone watching this who's an animator, you can go out there and do it. And I think the time for you to do that is now. Hopefully we'll see more of that. But I think now with YouTube and way more things to upload things, we will see more of that in the future. And I hope we do, from different parts of the world that would never get those chances because someone is so determined to do it. All right, so let's do these questions, and then, yeah. I like all the bounty law. Everyone's like, bounty law, bounty law. Okay, I think Major Mekazawa was the first one. Anyway, question, which film do you think will win Best Picture in a few months? Okay, personally, I think I'm going with The Irishman. I'm a little hesitant to say The Irishman. I think Marriage Story might have a better edge because there's more emotional reaction to it, and I think the Academy, when they're doing a Best Picture, don't go with something based on tradition in that way, although it is a bunch of old white guys, and I can see The Irishman doing that. But I think it is going to be a very good time for Netflix, but it's very early on. But the Golden Globes come out next week. Next week's going to be a little crazy. The Golden Globes come out next week, and we'll see what happens with that. But I do think it's really between The Irishman and Marriage Story at this time. Okay, question. What are some of your favorite Christmas episodes, movies that you like to revisit each year? Home Alone is a favorite. Episodes, I would say the He-Man She-Ra Christmas special, although it's a special, not an episode. Episode, I would say maybe some of the Friends ones with the Holiday Armadillo. That's one I quite like. Okay, Niji Kichu, if you were to reboot Captain Planet, how would you do so? I would maybe do something like with the kids of the Planeteers. I'm literally coming up with this on the spot, so I don't know. But the kids of the Planeteers, and maybe like what they've become, and maybe like Wheeler's become like kind of a lame guy, and like you could play off of what's happening in the world now and how that generation did stuff but didn't do enough and things like that. I think that could be cool. Sorry, that was quick. Favorite Rankin Back specials from Ryan Walterson? I would say The Hobbit. That's a favorite of mine. But if we're talking about holiday specials, I would obviously say Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I just watched that. Santa Claus Coming to Town, I like. It doesn't play as well. I'm more Rudolph, to be honest with you. I think Rudolph is one. I can't think of the others, and I wanted to DVR more of them. So this might be a question that's better in a couple weeks, to be honest with you, because I try to watch a bunch of them every year. Because I like. Anyway, Margie Roberts, still working on the drawing, just got the background to work on, but it's also done. No worries. I tag you on Twitter, Jim. Okay, thank you. Let me know. I will retweet it and say, hey, this Margie. If you remember Movie Crap, someone was drawing a picture, and this person is the one who did that. I guess, I don't know. Anyway, I didn't say that good. Question, what color should I paint my nails? Let's say dark blue. No, that's a bad color. Maybe like purple? You shouldn't have asked me on Title Project. I don't know. I painted my nails once in high school and it was black, so maybe black, I don't know. Question, do you think Paul Rudd will be the baby from Ghostbusters 2 all grown up? No, he would, if that's true, he would be younger than me, and Paul Rudd is not younger than me, so I don't think so. But maybe, but I really don't think so. Question, did you see the Dead Don't Die, and what are your thoughts on it? No, I didn't. Is that the Jarmusch thing? If it was, I wanted to, but it was like I was moving at the time. It wasn't going to happen. Why isn't Movie Crap available as a podcast, also on podcast apps from Jordan Bushart? I think because I know that like costs money and stuff like that. I'm thinking about doing some podcast stuff, and maybe that's something I could do in the future. I think because that's just another thing that I don't know, but the possibility is always there. So, maybe I'll think about it. That's a good question. If not, You can just, put this in your device on your Bluetooth and stuff. But I apologize if it's harder to listen to this in the car. I apologize for that. Bloxy Oxwinkle. I think I did that right. Do you think we'll ever see Popeye again? I feel like he's the most underappreciated classic cartoon. I did notice, because I recently got a Roku, that there's a lot of apps to watch Popeye on, like a lot of them, and the Popeye's still around. I do think I hope we see something from Popeye. I don't want to say I think it's over. Part of me feels like that might be true, but I feel like something will happen with him, and I hope it doesn't suck. But I feel like I feel like you couldn't just get rid of him entirely, but you never know. But this is a very IP era, so probably. Have you... question from Margie Red. Have you been able to check out The Rise of TMNT, and what do you think of it? I have not, and I would like to at some point. Zane Powers, thoughts on YouTube Rewind 2019? I think I said this on Twitter, but I will reiterate that. I don't really think it makes any sense for a thing that's so broad as YouTube to do a thing called YouTube Rewind. It kind of just favors like the celebrities and the big stuff. The cartoon community was completely left out of it, as well as the review community and the video essay community. But I understand we're small potatoes compared to all that stuff. So you're obviously going to leave out communities and things like that. It was cool seeing Black Griffin in there, who I think if we walked by each other, we'd be like, hey, you're that guy. That's our relationship. Just from Saber and stuff. But I get it. He's a nice guy. But I don't think... I wasn't really a fan. I watch each of the YouTube Rewinds, and then I totally forget them, other than Will Smith's intro. That's the only thing I've ever remembered for many of them. Most anticipated films of 2020 from Major Mekazawa. I would say Invisible Man right now is my most anticipated. I totally forget what else comes out that year right now off the top of my head, but I know Invisible Man's up there. And Antebellum I'm sort of excited for. What's the Muppet movie and which one is the worst? What? Which one's the worst Muppet movie? I haven't rewatched a lot of them that I don't feel confident saying that. And I really don't think there's a bad one as I recall. So, Netflix. Does Netflix have a stigma when it comes to the Oscars? I think their only stigma is they have a ton of money to spend on campaigns and they can win Oscars, because look at what Roma did last year. Question, did Nolan ever get that dang gator off the roof? No, it's actually a really big problem for him. So I hope he does at some point. I forgot about that. From when was that? Was that the last one? Okay. Okay. Have you ever seen any ramen westerns? Any suggestions? I don't know if I feel like I've seen that movie, but I don't know that genre very well, so I don't want to say that. Nathaniel Fogel, what is something you want to look back on about this decade? I don't know. There's a lot of big changes this decade. I got to be on Pizza Party. I got to make a lot of stuff. I got to grow a lot as a person. I had a daughter, stuff like that. I also Fury Road and Spider-Verse and Moonlight, I guess, are my three big ones right now. Worst Muppet movie is Kermit Swap. Okay, if he says so. What about A Year Without a Santa Claus? I did watch that. I wasn't as into that, frankly. Question, what are your thoughts on the movies Waterworld, Salt of the Earth, and Alaska? I've only seen Waterworld, and I don't remember it being that great. Is that Sheep or Shrek? That's Yoda. That's Christmas Yoda, guys. Come on. Hey, Jim, you make the music in your videos, right? Have you ever thought about releasing that music? I don't, just because I don't want other people to use it. To be honest with you, I don't really want to hear it in other people's videos, so maybe it's selfish of me, but I have thought about doing that at some point, but I have never really done that. So I need to do that. Have you ever considered having guest hosts on Movie Crap? I want to. I need to figure that out. To be honest, I haven't had the time. What's the worst Oscar host? The Oscar bait movie you've ever seen? Probably The Reader, to be honest with you. Maybe Green Book. Cashew the Musical, would you say Roku is better than cable? Sure. They're sort of different things, but I do actually quite like it. Question, war, huh? Yeah, what is it good for? Thank you, Ryan. Absolutely nothing. Okay, today it's Tom Waits' birthday. What's your favorite movie with Tom Waits in it? What's the end of John Waters' movie? I don't know, but I love that 1999 album he did. Is that a good answer? Probably not. Okay, do you have any friends who make content that you're not interested in or don't like and thus don't see? And does that make you a bad friend if you do that? I don't, actually, and I do watch most of my friends' content, so I can't say there's anyone like that. Sorry. Austin says, thoughts on Kevin Feige saying at Brazil Comic-Con that the TV Marvel characters from the shows Moon Knight, She-Hulk, and Ms. Marvel will appear in the movies. That's what I've heard, so it sounds accurate to me. I think that could be cool, and obviously he's going to do that. For that, anyone going to... Oh, yes, MomoCon is happening with the Beats Party podcast. I will have the link. Has been retweeted on Twitter. I should have said at the beginning. Anyway, what's the pettiest review you've ever seen from Zane Powers? I can't think of one right now, but I know I've had some. Looks like the radar is not yet bested, Jim. What? Would you review a theme park ride you had written on? No, because I don't know enough theme park rides. Anyway, that is it. I think we're done here. I'm sorry this was a little bit of a weird stream and everything like that. Thank you all very much for coming out and being patient with this, and I'm very happy to have as much of a patient fan base as I do. But I think, yeah, thank you, Nichikichu, for riling it in. All right, so thank you all very much for showing up. Please enjoy the videos. There was the snow lapse thing. There was the August 2019 video that finally came out. That's obviously BronyCon took place in between that, but that's all in its own video. And then a new Lost Film file with Return of the Ewok, which is cool. Anyway, thank you all very much for coming out. You all have been great. I'm Ryan. I don't know about Hop on Pop. There we go. And that's it. All right. I will see you guys next week. I think we've solved all the issues that we had this week. And thank you all very much for the support. Check out my Patreon if you'd like to further support this channel. And thank you all very much for watching. And I think I've said everything. And that is Christmas Yoda. And I am out. And I will see you next time. And subscribe.